Hello mathematicians, I hope by the end of this video you can say I can multiply and divide integers. Let's get into an example here. We're given -3 times 4. And we know that multiplication is just repeated addition. So -3 times 4 is equal to -3 plus -3 plus -3 plus -3. So -3 added together 4 times. And we know if we're adding 4 negative numbers together, they're all negative, so I'm moving to the left on the number line. We know our answer is going to be negative. And we know that 3 times 4, or 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, gives us 12. So our answer is going to be -12. So that gives us our rule here. So our rule is if there are an odd number of negative numbers, the answer is negative, and that is for multiplication or division. So we see in this problem here we have one negative number, which is odd. One is an odd number, so our answer is going to be negative, and that is for multiplication or division. It does not matter which number has a greater absolute value or anything like that, like we were doing for adding and subtracting. If there are an odd number of negative numbers, the answer is negative, and that is when it comes to multiplication or division. And it does not matter which order they come in. 4 times -3 also would give us -12. It does not matter which order. So we get this table right here. So if we have a negative times a positive, we get a negative. If we get a negative divided by a positive, we get a negative. So the same thing for multiplication or division. And it doesn't matter which order it is in. So we also get a positive times a negative, we get a negative. A positive divided by a negative, we get a negative. And now we'll move on to our next rules when it comes to multiplying and dividing integers. And that is, if there are an even number of negative numbers, the answer is positive. So if we were to have -3 times -4, our answer would be positive 12. And this one is a little bit more nuanced than the explanation for why a negative times a positive was negative. That'll be for later videos, is a little bit more advanced mathematics to prove this is true. But for now, we're just going to remember that a negative times a negative is a positive. Again, we'll go over that later, but it's a little bit more advanced math to prove that. So given that, we have our table here. So we have a negative times a negative gives us a positive, and a negative divided by a negative also gives us a positive. So if there are an odd number of negative numbers, the answer is negative. If there are an even number of negative numbers, the answer is positives. So for example, -3 times 4, there's one negative number, which is an odd number, we get a negative answer. -3 times -4, there are two negative numbers, which is an even number, so our answer is 12. So that is it. I hope by now, and with a little bit of practice, you can say I can multiply and divide integers.